Yeah.
Hi, Diane. Hi,
It
Diane.
was awesome.
Hi.
Awesome.
Oh,
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brandy.
Good morning, Brandy.
We're going to go ahead and get started here.
Yes,
You
good
be ready.
morning.
Okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock and we're on Zoom. We'll start out our service singing as we do every Sunday. This is the day. And Eric, can you beam us up? This is the day, this is the day the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, be glad in it, be glad in it. This is the day the Lord made. I will rejoice and be glad. This is the day, this is the day the Lord has made. This is the day the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, glad in it. This is the day that the Lord made. I will rejoice and be this is the day that the Lord has made. Oh, take a deep breath and let that sink in, that this is the day and there's nothing else that matters but the now, right now. Well, I want to welcome all of you Zoomers that have joined us today. It's wonderful to have you here with us. And I thought we might have a couple of new people join us today. And if they join a little later, we want you to know that you are welcome, that you're always welcome to be here with us. And as we say each Sunday, we know who you are. You are a child of God. We also affirm that where two or three are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst. As I looked over the ocean on a recent cruise, I was reminded of how vast is God's love for us. It is like the ocean, and there is no limit to his love for us. Well, I'm Esther Loveridge, and I'm happy to serve as the platform assistant today with Reverend Phil Pearson. And if you'd like to know more about us, please check out our website at capitalcityunity.org. If you want to be on our mailing list, please send a request to capitalcityunity@gmail.com. That is also the best way to request prayer with Jackie, our prayer chaplain. Being on our mailing list will keep you up to date on whether we will be meeting in person as well as Zoom. And another part of our service each Sunday is reading Unity's daily word. And today's I thought was especially meaningful. It's prosperity. I broaden my perspective of prosperity. When I think of prosperity, I may think of financial wealth or my possessions. I may even feel tempted to compare my life to someone else's and feel as though I come up short in comparison. Today, my understanding of prosperity grows. Feeling safe and secure in who I am is prosperity. Knowing I am gloriously made in the image of God is priceless. Realizing the abundance of the natural world and partaking of it is a gift. All of these are wonderful reminders I reside in the kingdom of heaven. The more I appreciate the richness of the material world, the more aware I am of my greatest prosperity, my oneness with God. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And that comes from Matthew 6:26. Are you not more value than they? It is such a good reminder that our prosperity is so much more than our financial bank account. We are blessed beyond measure with health, friends, the ability to gather here today and share our time together. Dear Father, Mother God, we thank you for all of your provisions, for loving us and giving us a full cup to share with others. We thank you for your listening ear and for being ever present in our lives. Thank you for receiving the prayer requests that we place in the prayer box, and bless all of us as we follow our way shore, Jesus Christ. Amen. And now I invite you to embrace our weekly affirmations and repeat after me. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Please join with me. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And there's only one presence, one power, and one love active in your life. That's God the good, omnipotent. And together, there is only one presence, one power, and one love active in your life, God the good, omnipotent. And there is only one presence, one power, and one love active in this ministry, God the good, omnipotent. And together, there is only one presence, one power, and one love active in this ministry, God the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence, one power, and one love active in the world today, God the good, omnipotent. And together, there is only one presence, one power, and one love active in the world today, God the good, omnipotent. And now for our congregational song, Eric's going to beam up for us. I am free, I am unlimited. And if you have a songbook and want to follow along on page 322, please feel free to do so. Eric? Are no things that I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I'm free, I'm unlimited. No chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I'm free, I'm unlimited. There's no chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I'm free, I am unlimited. There are no chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I'm free, I am unlimited. There are no chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I'm free, I am unlimited. There are no chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains to bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. Oh, we give thanks to Sharon for recording those songs that we can still hear even while we're on Zoom. Well, next week, Marty, our guest speaker on the first Sunday of each month, will return, and Suzanne will be our platform assistant. Speaking of platform assistants, we are inviting any of you who would like to spread your wings to call me at 916-730-6070 or write to capitalcityunity@gmail.com if you'd like to learn how to become one of our platform assistants. We will help you as you accept this as another way to serve our congregation. And our meditation song for today is "His Eye is on the Sparrow," and Eric will play a version by Lauren Hill and Tanya Blount. Eric, can you play that now?
Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches over me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches. I know He watches. I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free.
Well, I hope that blessed your heart as much as it has blessed mine. And I know we all share in a variety of music that we enjoy, and it's nice to mix it up a little bit sometimes and just experience something new. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll invite you to participate in this time of meditation by closing your eyes, if you wish, and relax in whatever manner you are comfortable. It might mean letting go of all cares that you have had on your shoulders when you came into this service today. It might be placing them in a bag on your lap, as suggested by Claudia last Sunday. Everything before now is before, and this is now. This is your time to open your mind and your body to the good that is awaiting you. This is our time together. This is when you can imagine how it feels to be cared for by a loving Father. When we listened to the words from our meditation song, we are reminded that God sees and supplies our every need. He knows our heart's cry, and just as his eye is on the sparrow, he continually watches over us. What does he see? Does he see your morning joy? Does he feel the pain in your body? Does he know the hunger of your heart? And does he reassure you that you are his child and that he cares for you beyond measure? There is nothing that can separate us from the love of God. So as you spend a few moments contemplating his loving care, know you have all you need. Continue breathing in and out as you relax in his presence. And now, as we take another breath and continue to release any tension that you no longer need, know you are free. You are unlimited. There are no chains to bind you. You can soar with the sparrows. And now I want to reintroduce you to Reverend Phil Pearson, who joins us on Zoom from his home in Reno. What a blessing it is to have you with us, Phil, today. And his talk title is God's Powerhouse. Phil, thank you for continuing to minister to all of us, and I give you the mic.
Thank you, Esther. I am, as always, delighted to be with I was going to say my old church family, but you're all youngsters, but we began some time ago. I do want to begin, however, today with a little bit of critique of you folks in California. I know that you're working for the highest good of all concerned. Wait a minute, before I go any further, Esther, I just want to thank you for your part this morning. I appreciate your commitment, your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now there's critique. I know you folks down there in California have wanted us to have a wonderful snowpack this year so that there'd be lots of water for California. But folks, you can turn it off now because we were supposed to have snow showers today. And I mean, we've had a blizzard all morning. We were supposed to have 1 inch down here on the floor in Reno. And I know we've hit 3 inches and it's still going like, man. So you're getting your snowpack, I can guarantee it, but ease up a little, will you? Anyway, the snow is beautiful and you don't have to go out in it. And fortunately, I don't have to most of the time. Well, when I was with you earlier, I can't remember, was it this month or the end of last month? I talked with you about the wonderful thing that I felt about the realization that in universities, several major universities such as Yale in our country were beginning to teach classes, and they were wonderfully responded to by the students in the university, classes teaching people that you're about as happy as you make up your mind to be. That to have happiness, to have a good life, you only have to think that. Now, I know that's old hat for most of us who are in unity, but to think that this is something the young people are finally getting, the educational system, is fabulous indication of the very gradual processes taking place in the evolvement of truth into our civilization and certainly into our nation. So anyway, I was happy to share that. And I don't think I did say last week, but one of the greatest gifts that I had in my life was the privilege of being married to Dorothy for 50 years, because I never knew anybody who was happy as she was. I never knew her to be unhappy. And as some of you know, the very last, literally last day of her life, she woke up and was singing for me. Happy am I, I'm rich, I'm happy. Happy am I, I'm rich today. Happy am I, I'm rich, I'm happy. Happy am I, I'm rich today. And then it goes on, oh, happy am I. Anyway, she gave it her all because that was just natural for us, for her, and fortunately for us in our time together. So hopefully those of you who shared in the lesson I shared before, that you said, yeah, I know it. I just have to think about positive things. And most especially, that's what we need to emphasize. I said last time that we don't close our mind to the negatives that are in our world, which there are plenty of. We're aware they're there, and we use our awareness to give them a blessing. But most of the time, we zero in on the many positives that are still very active in our lives and in the life of our world. I mean, we are so far ahead of where this world was 200 years ago when cruelty was taken for granted. Today, if policemen beat up on someone, the whole country comes up in arms. How could that happen? You can't have cruelty like that. There was a time it wouldn't have mattered at all. We've come a long ways. So anyway, last week I talked about being happy. The last time together, I talked about being happy. And I think that wasn't too difficult for you to follow in your own life, to think about, yeah, I'm just going to emphasize more of the positive, those things that make me feel happy. Today, I want to take us to something that I think is a little more of a challenge to us, but it's related to that lesson on happiness. I came into this because recently, as I was reading, as I do often, what scientists are coming up with in our world, and I was impressed with how many of them, in affirming whether they were Christian or religious, most of them said no, they were not. And they said, I find it difficult to be a Christian when you have to accept the Old Testament of the Christian Bible. And then they will sometimes go on into particulars where they tell us in their mind how absolutely childlike is the Old Testament. And then tell things like Noah's Ark I mean, a big ship like that and bringing all these ammo. Who could believe anything like that? And if you can't believe that, why believe anything? I mean, don't you know today that people are even questioning the reality of a Moses? Was there really a Moses? There's no real solid historical fact that there was, but it's in the Old Testament. So anyway, these heavy-duty intellectual thinkers, I understand how, can say, I can't buy into this Christian faith based on something like that Old Testament as well as the New Testament. Well, that sort of irks me when I hear that, because I realize that the fact that it means nothing to them is they do not really appreciate the fact that the Old Testament is filled with allegories. They were never meant to be taken as literally true. But the writers who wrote in those days were inspired by spirit, and they understood principles, just like in my most recent book, when I was talking about the early spiritual seekers of the world, gave us some of the fundamentals that even now today we're just beginning to realize as to being true. There was an inspired group who gave us the Old Testament. And what I want to give you, first of all, is one example of one of the greatest stories of the Old Testament in my mind that is wrapped around a character that many of our intellectuals feel was probably never there, and that is Moses. The story of Moses that most people who have seen enough movies have seen. He's the one that went into Egypt and set the Israelites free, and was born as a son of the head of Israel, not Israel, of Egypt. And this Moses was the one that had the most marvelous experience that, again, the intellectuals just shake their heads at. He actually talked to God. Remember, he saw this burning flame up in the mountains, and he finally got to that flame himself and stood before it. He realized it was a bush that just kept burning. And he heard the word that said, "Take your shoes off. You're standing on holy ground." And of course, many of us who are metaphysicians know that the feet are symbolic of understanding. And so right away we realize, whoa, here's a metaphysical insight, not to be taken literally. Moses, the character of Moses, is being told, take your shoes off so that you can understand reality, what's real. And so Moses took his shoes off, and then God spoke to him and told him that he was to be the one to go forward and to set his people, the Israelites, free from their bondage to the Egyptians. And you will remember, most of you. No, as uni students, you all remember, because I know you know these stories. In any event, you will remember that Moses responded, but they're all going to say, where do you get this authority? Who sent you to tell us what we should be doing? And God said, tell them that I sent you. He said, tell them that I am that I am has sent you. And in the sharing of that truth, we were given literally access to the powerhouse of God. The authority of God is invested in us, not just in a fictitious story in the Old Testament. The writer of that was telling us a revelation that they had obviously received in meditation, where God said, When you go forth into your life, know that that I am has sent you. Now, I think I've said this a little more difficult than last week or last time I talked to you when I said, learn to be happy. I think you all can find ways to do that. If you know that song, Happy Am I, I'm not sure you probably started singing that or other ways of doing it, but to concentrate on the things that are happy and positive. But when it comes to the use of that powerhouse name of God who sends you forth in life to deal with your life situation, you are told to be using God's name to open the doors, the way for you. And that is, I am that I am. That you are affirming when you speak that your conviction is that I am the God of my being, and that the manifestation of my life is the way in which I put God's name before me. Or more simply, whatever you affirm I am to, sincerely, believingly, you got it, because it is the powerhouse. So undoubtedly you've heard this insight before many times, but you also know that, as I said earlier, it's not quite as easy as you saying, I'm going to be happy. What you're saying is, I'm not going to put up with anything in my life that I don't want anymore. I don't have to. All I have to do is put God before me and say, I am. I'm not going to be sick anymore. Don't have to be. I am well. And I certainly don't have to be poor anymore. All I have to do is send God before you. I am wealthy. And whatever area of life that you're considering, the answer to a positive transformation is bring God into the act by using his name in your life. And that is, I am. However, well, it's not however in the sense of an opposite, but it's just not easy when you're feeling sick to say with authority, I am well. Hopefully none of you have ever been sick enough to try that and find, hey, it's not easy, because you say it and nothing happens particularly. That is instantaneously. Because sometimes we have to introduce the power of God gradually into every experience in our life to start the transformation process to take place. So you wake up and you say, I heard this lesson. I believe what Phil said, and so I've been feeling sick, but now I am well. Day two, oh, you don't feel any better. And so you say, well, I remember what Phil said, so I am well. Day three, oh. As I said, it's not as easy to say, and I'm happy, I'm rich. It means you've got to hang in by releasing the power of God into your life, by affirming that with as much conviction as you can as to what is real about your life when all the appearances are to the contrary. And that's why you and I need to hear this. And I am reinforced as I share it with you for myself, because it isn't an easy step. Because you see, most of us are accustomed to using our I am, but we don't use it in the context that I'm talking to today. You use it to describe what's going on in your life. Somebody says, how are you? I'm so-so. Or I'm well. I'm not too well. Meaning that's the way I see myself today. But we're not talking about using the I am the way we sort of normally do it to describe ourselves. We're using it to affirm what we want to be physically expressing in our life now, whether it's there or not. So we move from an I am position of description to an I am of authority, of claiming the good that God wants us to have and that is natural to his spirit within us. You know, I use an I am quite often in a way that would be challenging probably from some people. And it doesn't make me better than anybody else. It's just one that I believe in. And that is this: I am the Christ, the Son of the living God. I am the Christ, the Son of the living God. I'm not saying I am Jesus or I am the Savior of the world. I'm merely affirming the truth that I am the child of God. And the Christ is the child of God. And I'm affirming that the Christ nature that God has placed in every one of us is my natural self. That is my real self, not the one that sort of comes off the top of our head when somebody says, how are you or who are you? It's the one that probably you don't go have to be speaking publicly for everybody, especially around people who aren't uni students, you wouldn't. But for yourself, you understand when you say, I am the Christ. I have the whole nature of God within me. That's my true description. And that means I am naturally healthy. I'm naturally wealthy. I'm naturally blessed in every area of my life. However, that's just one kind of use of the I am that I particularly have appreciated. There are many ways that you can come up with your own I ams, usually moved by something in your life that needs to be transformed. And to inspire you to do it is to know there is no greater power than you'll find in those words. I am. I am that I am. I am that I know myself to be. Part of knowing that what we're talking about now is true, more true than anything physical, and certainly more true than anything negative going on in the world, is based on the fact that you and I are not physical beings. And when we talk about, not just affirming the way you're feeling in your body or what your body is experiencing as far as your bank account's concerned and all, when you work with the I am, you're working with your spiritual self, your mind self. You are consciousness. As I look at some of your faces on my screen here today, I'm really looking at centers of consciousness. You've got a name that I equate to your body, but that name just equally relates to an invisible you that is just a center of consciousness that will never die. And your life story and my life story is all about the way in which we deal with consciousness. The body and our outer affairs all follow what we affirm and declare in consciousness. That, when I decided I wanted to share that, I thought of another book that I've recently reappreciated. I'm pulling books out of my library that I've read some time ago, and I'm rereading them. And this is one of the best books. And for any of you who are serious students, I encourage you to read it. It's called Consciousness Beyond Life: The Science of the Near-Death Experience by Pim Van Lommel, MD, one of the most world's respected heart surgeons in the world. And he makes one of the best cases I've ever seen for what I've just finished affirming, and that is all life is consciousness. It's not in the physical. And that's why when we deal with things and we take our I am statements in the realm of consciousness, we're getting where life really starts and where ultimately the physical is going to have to follow. And so anyway, I just love how he's very versed in quantum physics and all the research that's been done in the realm of consciousness. And of course, as a surgeon, he knows the physical body extremely well. So I encourage you to get that book for your library. There's one little story in here that let's see, where am I doing? I maybe got time to read this first part here, which I think is so interesting. He said, it is 1969. At the coronary unit, care unit, the alarm suddenly goes off. The monitor shows that the electrocardiogram of a patient with a myocardial infarction, heart attack, has flatlined. The man has suffered a cardiac arrest. Two nurses hurry over to the patient who is no longer responsive and quickly draw the curtain around his bed. One of the nurses starts CPR while the other places a mask over his mouth and administers oxygen. A third nurse rushes over with resuscitation trolley that contains a defibrillator. The defibrillator is charged, the paddles are covered in gel, the patient's chest is bared, the medical staff let go of the patient in the bed, and the patient is defibrillated. He receives an electric shock to the chest. It has no effect. Heart massage and artificial respiration are resumed, and in consultation with the doctor, extra medication is injected into the foredrip. Then the patient is defibrillated for the second time. This time his cardiac rhythm is reestablished, and more than a minute later, after a spell of unconsciousness that lasted about 4 minutes, the patient regains consciousness to the great relief of the nursing staff and attendant doctor. The attendant doctor was me. I had started my cardiology training that year. And then he says, following the successful restoration, everybody was congratulating each other. We had saved a life. We were so thrilled. He said there was only one person unhappy there. Can you guess who it was? It was the patient. The patient came to, and when they were all greeting him, and saying, hey, he was so unhappy. He said, I was having the most marvelous time. It was beautiful where I was. There was music, etc., etc. And Dr. Lamo offers this as the first connection he had with the thought, maybe people, when they're in this place of near death, are experiencing something that we don't know about. So anyway, he's begun a lifetime of research of this, along with his work as a world-leading cardiologist. And I mention that only to say it is confirming, and with every passing year, we're getting more conviction of the fact, as I've already affirmed, you are consciousness. You're not a body. I'm consciousness. I'm not a body. And as consciousness, we will live forever. But as consciousness, also, we have this opportunity to use the power-packed words of God correctly. I am wonderfully made. Not just a body. Doesn't matter where my body is at the moment. The truth of my being is I am wonderfully made. I'm whole and well. I am prosperous. I'm joyful. I am guided. I'm at peace. I am a spiritual being. I am a center of consciousness that will live eternally. Thank you, God. Well, I bless you today, and that you will think about how you're using your I am, this power-packed power of God. Are you just using it as a descriptive factor, or are you using it to put it before you to open the miracles and wonders of your life experience as you claim your divinity as a child of God? I am the Christ, Son and daughter of the living God. I'm an eternal center of consciousness. Well, as always, it's such a privilege to still have the opportunity to touch so many lives that I have known for so long and have been a blessed part of me when we established the capital city, Sacramento Capital City Unity Church. I bless your day today, and give thanks as you're going to stop praying for more snow on the mountains, okay? Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Wow, that is a powerful message, Phil. Am I unmuted? I can't tell. I guess I'm unmuted. Thank you so much. Thank you for willing to come out of the snow and into our light today. Thank you for being who you are, a child of God. Jesus Christ working through you. It's just is a powerful message. And I agree with you. It's a little more difficult to get into that space than just to want to be happy. But we had an interesting experience ourselves when we came back from our recent cruise. We didn't even get into the house before Ben took a fall and was unconscious. And in that brief moment, I became very aware of how fragile life can be. As most of you know, he came to a few moments later, but in that moment, I had an awareness of how much I love him and am glad that he's in my life and that we can continue to share together. Yes, we are abundantly blessed, aren't we? And life is so much more, and prosperity is so much more than anything we might want to materially have in our home. We came home to trees being down and fences being down, but we have each other, we have the joy, and we have that powerful message that Phil gave us today, that I am happy, I am free, I am unlimited, and it all ties together. So we take this time to bless our offering, and some of you give when we're in person, and some of you donate through different ways that can be done. Some mail into the church, but we do appreciate everyone who cares enough about this ministry to keep it going as long as we can. We want to serve you, we want to be with you, and we want to continue to love you. And it's all in God's hands. So bless your offering, and we give thanks to all of you for your generosity and for blessing us with your service and with your love and with your caring, and for being here and taking time. So now we can sing our closing song, which Love is the Only Power, on page 119.
Esther,
Yes.
Yeah, can you ask Phil what the name of that was again?
Oh, Phil, if you're able to hear me, can you give us the name of that book again that you just quoted from? And maybe Eric can even put it in the notes of the message.
And Phil's on mute, so
Okay, can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay, the name of the book is Consciousness Beyond Life: The Science of the Near-Death Experience. And the author is Pim, P-I-M, Van Lommel, Lommel, M-D. I don't think you'll have any trouble finding it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful request. That's great. And maybe Eric, you can type it in the show notes, as they say. Okay, we're ready for our love song.
Love is the only power. Love is the only way.
We are serving you.
Love is the only power. Love is the only way.
We are serving the world.
Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, love, love.
We are serving the world. Now together, Ben, would you come over and join me for the prayer for protection?
The light of God surrounds us.
Surrounds us.
The
The
love
love of God holds us.
The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are,
Uh,
God
God
is,
is,
And
and
all
all
is
is well.
well.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil
Thank you, Phil.
and
Thank you,
Esther.
thanks, Phil.
Wonderful to
Have
be
a
with
good
you.
day.
Love you
Have a
all.
good, have a good
Goodbye.
week.
Happy football day.
That's so true.
Yep.
Go Chiefs. Don't forget to vote for the Chiefs now.
All
If you love me, you'll vote for, you'll
Go Niners.
first
Go Niners.
cheer for the Chiefs. Okay,
We'll
bye-bye.
vote for the Chiefs.
Have fun.
right.